Okay, I know I was saying that like I would never really want to go to the Oscars, and that's still the case. Like
You
I
mentioned.
don't. It just seems so boring. Again, I have a couple friends who have gone. It seems like the most boring. We're on the wrong side, Daniel.
Oh, we
Oh,
are on
it's
the wrong
better.
side there.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
better.
something felt off.
Yeah, I need art right there. It looks so plain. Anyways, I wouldn't want to go to the Oscars. However, I feel like they've got great booze there.
Mhm.
And I would just have to see like what happens. Okay, I'll talk to everyone else. I would just have to see what happens
Sorry,
to Andrew
technical issue.
Garfield. What happened?
Nothing, nothing. My camera's been
Was
like
it?
acting up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, what I was saying was I would just have to see what happens when Andrew Garfield's got the liquor flowing and if he's
Dude.
still like America's boyfriend.
Yeah,
Him
no,
specifically, I'm interested in.
he doesn't. No, he doesn't seem like. I feel like he's a very like camera conscious person, and like when the camera's
Mm.
on, he knows to like turn on the British gentleman, right? Like
You think he's a crier when he drinks, or is he like a sleepy drunk? I don't think he's a fighter. Maybe.
it doesn't seem like a fighter type. Seems like like breaks out a guitar and like he's like I'm gonna write a song,
Oh,
all
not
jacked
really.
up.
I don't get that. I don't get that. Yeah,
Just that like air of pretentiousness that like I'm gonna create art while I'm in this state of mind. You know,
yeah. He
that's the
did the
vibe I get
thing.
from him.
He did the thing with Goldie Hawn during the Oscars, and even then, I was a little. Let's move it on. Let's move along.
I saw a tweet
Um,
that said that he was talking about Goldie Hawn as if she was already in the grave.
already dead. Yeah, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you to those of you who have joined us. I know we've been as you can see, I'm sure your algorithm has been filled with it. We've been ramping up our marketing. You guys have probably got tons of ads, tons of notice. You definitely didn't just find out um, a while ago. I hope you all saw the thumbnail I made. Clearly, our thumbnail, our the head of graphic design and art, she's on strike. So
Hey,
she's
no good for
striking.
her. We stand with union labor
I
unions.
don't.
Oh,
Smash them. Build, baby, build. That's what I'm saying. I'd like an Amazon on every corner. Is what I want.
hey, I'm not saying no, but if that would up the delivery times,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk,
Yeah, the much faster your supporter would get to you.
dude.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in. Thank you guys so much. We promised. We said no more shows in February. We had the one very early February, and then we weren't going to be back till March. We needed a few weeks off to reset, rekindle, and basically just revise what we're doing. But mostly, we were preoccupied because someone got married.
I got
Look at
married.
him. He's a
I'm
married spud.
I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud.
And then immediately following, he got married on Valentine's Day. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right.
Yeah.
Friday, February 14th.
Right. And then immediately left to Japan for 12 days. How long were you gone?
10 days, 2 weeks ish.
2 weeks ish. Yes. 2 business weeks you were gone.
Yeah, 2 business weeks. And HR let me know.
How has married life changed your relationship? Has remember he watches the show, so is it better? Is it worse?
If I say this, it's the same. Is that brownie points or is that a negative? You know,
That's a negative. Sorry,
a negative.
That was a trap. You were trapped.
Walked right into that. No, it's been great. Going around places, I was like, oh, that's my husband. You know, that felt
that's
fun.
Yeah.
We got stopped at TSA.
And oh no.
Yeah, oh no. I was trying to take a picture of him because Richard got randomly selected for additional screening, and he's behind glass. So I was like,
it wasn't his tiny little shorts that did it.
There's a what is the word? An obscenity limit that
yeah. Apparently the removal of DEI has hit the TSA and all the other freaking acronyms.
They got doged.
We got doged. Denji, thank you for your joke. That was fun. Yeah, okay. And so we'll get to the Japan trip because
Mhm.
we've dedicated basically the whole back half of this. Daniel's got pictures, he's got stories, he brought us all gifts,
Mhm.
and we're very, very excited. But congratulations, Daniel, on the wedding. Of course, not only from me. No one talks about that. It was also my day.
It was your day. I feel like
I
you were
officiated.
right up there with
I
us.
I was equally as important
Yes.
in that
100%.
day because someone had to marry these two yahoos, and it wasn't about to let it be some rando. And so, yeah, it was a fun day. We went, we won't get too much into like the actual wedding because obviously you guys want to talk Japan and Star Wars and the Oscars and everything. But I did tell Daniel. Let's go back to my childhood, actually. No, when they asked me originally to officiate the wedding, do you remember this, Daniel?
I do at the
We
brewery.
were at a
Right?
brewery,
Yeah.
and Daniel came and hung out with all me and my friends. And we're all sitting down, and in true Daniel fashion, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you." And then I can see your now husband looking at you like you're doing this now. And he told me, "We would love for you to officiate our wedding. We'd love for you to be involved in it in that capacity." And I just fucking cried the whole day.
The
Do you
whole
remember
day.
that?
Yeah,
Literally,
we were there, like 5 to midnight or something, right?
we
Like,
were there till like midnight. And then every once in a while, I would just start bawling. I've known Daniel for a pretty long time, about 31 years. So it was very important to me. And then I was just I'm a performer, and so it was giving the audience what they needed
Mhm.
with my tears and my feverish shaking and snot. So you're all very, very welcome.
It was a beautiful
Um,
celebration.
and then fast forward to the wedding, about a
The
year
wedding.
later or so, right? I was like, Daniel, I'm not going to cry. I've got it all out. I cried on the drive over. I cried all then. It's not going to happen. 3 words into the first sentence in front of everyone, lost it. And Daniel had to look at me like, "Hey, bud, tighten up."
Tighten up.
Because Daniel was not crying. I don't think you actually cried like during the ceremony. Me and Richard did.
Yeah, you two did. I think
Yeah.
I had like blacked out at some point, right? The things had run a little late, and more guests had shown up than we had pictured would for the little ceremony. And yeah, when I walked out and saw like pretty much all the guests were there when we planned for like 20 people to be there for the ceremony. I think that's when I blacked out.
Yes.
My brain was like, "We'll check you back in when it's safe."
You will. You're
My
like
Audi took over.
I was just gonna say it was like Severance, and you like snap back, and you're in like your airplane seat, getting ready to go to Japan. Like, what the hell? Where am I? Well, again, so yeah, Daniel's married, went to Japan, yada yada yada. A lot of other more important stuff happened. We've got Harry Potter news, we've got Star Wars news, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the Oscars, not like a ton, because I know it was a almost 4-hour show.
That's
3
crazy.
hours and 44 minutes and some change. So it was a long.
That was Adrian Brody's speech.
Most of that, yes, yes, it was. Daniel's got the same writers as Conan. But everyone, again, welcome to Fandom Social. Like, comment, subscribe, the notification bell, all the stuff. If you're here, you already know that. But if you're watching this after the fact, it really, really helps us, and we appreciate it. I don't want to say we're the best pop culture show on YouTube on Mondays, 7 p.m. PT, but I've got the hard data to prove it. So we are. All right. Well, with that, let's see. Do we actually have a script here, Daniel? What are we doing first? Okay, let's do.
Sort of.
Yeah. What are you running through us first here?
All right. So first up, we have the Star Wars news, which is big Star Wars news. And I guess depending on where you land, within the Star Wars fandom, could be positive, could be negative. But Kathleen Kennedy is leaving Lucasfilm. She is confirmed. Then, I think it was reported. She denied it, and then it was later confirmed that she would be stepping down sometime soon.
Right.
As like head of Lucasfilm. And it's kind of crazy because she's been there for over 10 years now. And
2015?
Yeah, about
she
2015.
hopped on. Yeah. How you are to say bigger Star Wars fan than I am is a bit of an understatement, but how do you feel about her like legacy that she's leaving? Because I did look at what she's done, and it wasn't as much as I thought.
Mhm.
It wasn't quite a bit, obviously, but wasn't as much. So, from 2015 to to where we are now, like, what do you think of like her legacy overall?
I feel like that's where we started to see like a creative shift in like a negative direction. I feel like that's when we moved to like The Void and The Mandalorian, and
Hmm.
like that had a great first season, but it's since become just like a cameo machine. I really liked Skeleton Crew, right? That was very like Goonies vibe. I feel like that was a shift in the right direction, but maybe this is like an overcorrection at this point. But
Yeah.
yeah, between that Acolyte, Andor, I feel like the Disney Plus series they haven't been giving what we needed them to give.
I thought Andor was like pretty well received.
Yeah, no, it is.
Oh, I see.
This is me personally.
Oh, you personally, right? All right.
I wasn't a big fan of Andor. I get it. It's like a nice spy
Interesting.
thriller. Yeah, it was a little too slow paced for me.
Hmm.
Especially with what I want from Star Wars. I'm definitely like a prequels. Like my favorite's probably episode 1 or episode 3. Right, ton of action. Dialogue still pretty heavy, but there's a lot of jangling keys, as they'd say.
Yes, yes. A lot of pss, 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 like to
Uh-huh.
get people into the theater. It's pretty annoying. Did you see that the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith is coming up? And that's a real bummer.
Yeah, yeah, it puts a little diminishing mark on it,
Yeah.
But I mean, I
Just
think
take away my cane, why don't you?
yeah, yeah, seriously. Do you feel old yet?
I do. I do. That hit me pretty hard at work. I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Like, this isn't, obviously you guys know from before to even now, like we're not really that sort of channel. Like, if you want to go and spread negative fandom menace rhetoric, there's plenty of places to do that on YouTube. Not really here, so we'll keep it civil, but I am curious as to what people think about KK's legacy,
Exit.
because it's been highly touted. So with that, Daniel, like moving on from her legacy to her actually leaving, there's been a lot of weird reports that I've seen of her. Like, there's this guy who was supposed to take over, and then he joined Paramount, and it like put them in a frenzy, and she had to hop back in, like to a creative role, and then she is now saying like she's getting like or is reported that she's getting like this massive like golden parachute to leave, um because now she's essentially being forced out. So a lot of conflicting reports coming out on KK's departure there.
Yeah, and I feel like with the way Disney's been moving to kind of, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I feel like the political atmosphere that Star Wars exists
Mhm.
within, I feel like it is kind of leaning towards the right, and it is a little more conservative now. And you see things like Disney kind of dropping LGBTQ storylines from shows, right? You see them like pushing less inclusivity, and like they're starting to like overcorrect from like their projects like Acolyte, which featured a lot of like people of color, diverse storytelling from women and LGBTQ story
Mhm.
writers, Leslie Headland, and I feel like we're starting to see that payoff of like that right wing fandom menace,
Mhm.
pushing so much rhetoric against Kathleen Kennedy, and how much like it's that very vocal portion of the community that's
Yeah,
like
the vocal minority.
the vocal minority,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think we're seeing a lot of that. Think we're seeing the ramifications of that, where they're starting to listen to the fan base, and now seeing
Mhm.
that. I mean, if you Google Kathleen Kennedy leaving Lucasfilm, like those first few links are all just like, "Thank God she's gone. She's finally leaving. The end is near." All sorts of that stuff. So it's sad to see it shift that way, but I feel like it is a like calculated, intentional shift in that direction. I think they're going to start trying to capitulate to that fandom a little more. But yeah, like Dave Filoni's in talks, and people are like equally as upset about that.
I think that's a bad move. Personally, I think people forget he was also responsible for a lot of there's a lot of bad stuff that Filoni's done too. Like, I think he gets a pass because he's done like the animated show, and he was
Mhm.
like, I think, loosely involved in the first season of The Mandalorian, and not much of Rogue One, but like some of these things that people really love, like he wasn't that involved in, but he was involved in like Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte and Mando season 2 and 3, Ahsoka, which I didn't like. I love Rosario Dawson, but like I didn't like Ahsoka. And like again, it was just more picking from the nostalgia tree.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think Filoni is too close to the franchise. And people constantly forget that Kathleen Kennedy, for all her wants and wares, she was a businesswoman. Like that is a whole other part of this gig that I feel, as someone who is like not really a creative, but I like business, that people forget about in terms of this industry where creative is so important for sure. But you have to have people in business who understand like where to make concessions, where not to make concessions, how just to get your project that's all blue sky, how to make it reality and get you a budget and actors and backgrounds and grips. Like
100%.
Dave Filoni does not know how to do. Well, I'm sure he does, but like that's what Kathleen Kennedy did, and that's why even if you remove all of her Star Wars stuff, her freaking resume is insane.
Yeah, people forget that she's been an executive producer at Lucasfilm since like what, the 80s. I think Indiana Jones was like one of her first, if not her first. So she's been with them from the start, and I feel like that's why she was a great choice to like kind of lead. But you know, maybe there have been a couple missteps along the way. But yeah, Dave Filoni's kind of like Lucas's golden child, right?
Yeah.
So it's very Willy Wonka. Like people are speculating like he'd be the one that gets the keys to the chocolate factory.
Right. And you know, chocolate factory or not, I think that it's been tough sledding for her for a lot of reasons. And I think
83, I think.
Yeah, it's around that time. And I feel that two things can be true. She could have been a really bad choice to helm Star Wars and have so much creative input, and also be really good at her job to have fought to get all of these projects that, sure, they were not good. She still fought to get them on screen.
Yeah,
she had to have. So both of those things can be true. And I think that's the issue of going and scrolling through TikTok, and you see all of the like terrible, ugly rhetoric of the geeks and gamers of the world, like those assholes. Like you just see like those very small marginalized people are like, it can't be true. Like she can't have been bad at Star Wars and be good at her job, when in reality, like we all enjoy this stuff from a place of privilege of just like watching, consuming, and judging. Like there's a whole other, like with anything that's created, like there's a whole other side just that took to get that made.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't think all of these things that you love, like Kathleen Kennedy fought to get made. So I'm going to get off my high horse about it, but I feel very strongly about that. Is Kathleen Kennedy, am I happy that she's out? Yeah, because she's old guard. Like she's like,
that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
She's like old Star Wars money, you know, and she's so out of touch with what it is. And I there are fair criticisms about like, okay, like Disney is focusing on the wrong stories, but then also when Disney tries to move the Star Wars franchise forward past what we already know, like the fans hate it. So I just think there needs to be like a break. Just take some time. I think, you know, it should be Joe Manila Folder can be the next person who takes over, because it doesn't need to be splashy. Like Star Wars is not in a position where like a flashy name is going to save what's wrong with the franchise. Like it needs a break.
Yeah.
It needs a break.
And yeah, I feel like you said, like if they were going to Filoni, same thing, old guard.
Yeah, then people are just gonna. He's the same. Like he's the same type of person who, it may be even worse because he may even like, I hate
put himself
and
in
this
everything.
this is like just a me thing, but you should. I can see the inside and the color of my freaking brain with how far back I roll my eyes every time they're like, we've got this new Star Wars story and it takes place 2,000 years before like the return of the Saskatchewans or whatever the last one is called. Like, I don't fucking know. And I just roll. I was like, you're so afraid to go forward that you go 2,000 years backwards.
Literally. Yeah.
And it,
No, I mean, look
it
at
makes me
Acolyte.
laugh and roll my eyes with the Star Wars franchise. I'm like,
Agreed.
We know where everything's gonna go.
Yeah. At this point, it's like it's a spectrum. We've never extended past that one point. And yeah, I agree. It's like it's getting stale, it's getting old, and they need like a fresh set of hands in there. And handing it to like the known like successor, the most speculated successor, doesn't make sense. They need like some fresh eyes in there.
Yeah, and Steve said I think that's very fair. I never thought of her as a creative, but more of the management side. But she did have a lot of say in the creative outputs that we got. Tenchi says what the entire IP, Star Wars, really needs is for there to be nothing new at all coming out for the next 7 to 10 years. Let things settle and move off the oversaturation.
Yes. It needs a breather. It's like we're beating the dead horse.
Yeah. As a fan, as like a creative, as someone we've lived through the franchisation like mecca of 2011 to 2018, where it was like every franchise got like greenlit 7 movies. I want to see that happen. I just don't think financially Disney can do that.
Yeah.
Like Disney needs to hold on to that IP because Star Wars makes them so much money. Or honestly, I would love to see them just put all that money. Like if you really want to make Star Wars stories, do it in your parks, which are like lacking. Like put all your money there and create new stories and stuff there to start getting all those kids who are going in, right? And then boom, then you hit them with like a new movie later. But
yeah, you build the hype. At this point, it's like you can talk to someone and like they'll tell you like, oh, I've seen the last movie, but I haven't watched any of the Disney Plus shows. I feel like it's also a point of accessibility where it's like not everyone's going to get the streamer, not everyone's going to watch those shows where sometimes the story is expanded upon and is like moved forward, like Ahsoka.
Yep. And I am very excited, Daniel, when in 5 years, when we were still doing this show, we say this exact same conversation, but we slap the words Marvel and Kevin Feige over everything. So with that, all right, let's move on. I know we've got, did you pull any Harry Potter news? I knew we had some Harry Potter stuff we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so Harry Potter news. It's about the reboot. They have found their Dumbledore.
That's right. I forgot.
And Dumbledore's a big role, right? I feel like that does kind of set a tone, especially with the casting news. They went with John Lithgow. John Lithgow. Yeah. Lithgow.
Yeah. I love this choice.
Really?
I do.
I don't know.
Is it? I found that people were like mostly favorable on it. At least maybe on my side of the internet. Like, did you not on your TikTok feed?
I feel like I follow the purists, the people that are like, no, he needs to be, stoic and warm but firm, but people that have like those requirements of a role, but I feel like for me, I don't know. I think Conclave kind of altered my way of thinking a little bit because watching him in Conclave, he was really good. And like, he was a very like serious role there. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, I could see him. But I grew up with John Lithgow from, what is it? Third Rock? That old show?
Third Rock from the Sun?
Third Rock from the Sun. And dude, like that was my John Lithgow. And so for me, that was like the mentality. I was like, there's no way he is going to be Dumbledore. Like he could never do it. But I feel like after watching Conclave, I can see the range for it.
Yeah. And yeah, he has, as Steve says, he has more range than folks give him credit for. He was incredible in HBO's Perry Mason.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either. I think that's got Robert Downey Jr. in it. Am I wrong?
I think so.
It's pretty new. Yeah, I think it has Downey. Anyways, but he's really good. Like I don't necessarily need Dumbledore to be like this like really warm like dad, Yeah. He's like I prefer him to be like a little stoic and a little distant.
Okay, yeah. He is like a school principal,
Yeah. I thought like I don't know. My initial reaction was like it was a good one. Like there was nobody else that I even considered for that role. There was no one that I thought would be better or worse for it. And it is such an important role. He's such an important actor, and he knows how to be on a franchise. He knows how to stay consistent. So, yeah, I was just thinking because he plays Barney's dad.
Does he really? He
In How I Met
does.
Your Mother, yeah. Just have you seen Disney recently? They've been trying to milk every penny from their IPs. Every anime movie is also new live action. Oh, that was my tangential thing, but we're gonna do that when we get to the Oscars. So, Jen, stay in that headspace.
Would have been in that.
Yes. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, how do you feel about this show coming up? Like, again, I am not that attached to Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like them. I watch them. I have played Harry Potter trivia with my girlfriend and her boyfriend, and I was like decimated. I was so bad at it. Like, if it's not like the first two movies, like I'm terrible. But otherwise,
I was very attached to the Harry Potter franchise. I read all the books, watched all the movies, multiple times. You and I went to a couple midnight releases. So I was very connected with it. And like, I think for me, it's part nostalgia, part like, why would you do this? Why would you quote unquote ruin my childhood? But I feel like it's also like them kind of setting it up to fail. Cause I feel like with the Harry Potter reboot comes a lot of like logistical issues. Like think about the theme parks, right? All the characters now need to be like recast or built, rescaled, all the assets need to be redone. I feel like they're building it to be disposable because, Harry Potter and like Daniel Radcliffe specifically, like they're so intertwined now that it's going to be a hard road to separate the two, even if the franchise is a little older now.
It is. It's almost, it'll be 30 years old pretty soon here.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
And I don't know, maybe that's
99 or 2000 was the first movie.
Yeah, I think it was like 99 or 98.
And here's my 2 cents on this. Again, HBO is no better. They're no better than Disney. Harry Potter has been milked to death and put in every pop culture convenience store. I'm doing like a milk and cow, into jars and being sold in supermarkets analogy here. They're all over, like they're in everything, and I think it's exciting, and I'm channeling my inner Autumn here because sometimes I am nice, and she would say like, just because this thing is being made, it does not detract from the thing that you loved. Like you can still go watch that at any time. Like you don't even have to ever watch these things. Like you have no obligation to it. So there's going to be millions of people that do enjoy it. So instead of bashing on it, like go enjoy it. That's where I stop because I'm like, we absolutely should bully and bash some of these, these mega conglomerations into not just re-farming all of these IPs. I am also there because essentially it is miles and miles and miles cheaper to create a bad reboot than it is to try your luck than to throw 3 things at the wall to see if they stick.
Right.
Like, think about like the billions of dollars that Netflix has lost. But they've regained solely in Stranger Things, Squid Games, and like Love Island.
Oh my God. Love
Just
Island.
those 3 alone keep the freaking bills on, pay the bills to keep the lights on is what I mean. And that is sort of when people say like, at least in like streaming models, like that's what the Netflix model is. Like that's what it is. Not necessarily like putting all the content out at once. Like that's is the kind of entry point to that. But the Netflix model really means that you just throw a bunch of stuff out and see what works. And then you just farm that one thing to death. Now, luckily, what happened, I think, for these bigger corporations is they're like, oh, we've been doing the Netflix model forever. We have a much deeper well to pull from. So that's why you're seeing all this nostalgia, because they're rehashing like Friends and Star Wars and like all of these shows because they've already done it. Ghostbusters, God, don't even get me started on that franchise. Right. And it's going to be interesting to see how HBO and Max or Warner Brothers counters their own success.
Mhm.
And I am genuinely excited for the show. I'm genuinely excited for the casting. We should remember, like, when you're talking about some of these things, that, like, a lot of times, at least for the first few years, you're going to be talking, like, when you're like, that's not my Harry Potter. That's not my, like, or not Emma. What's her name? Hermione. Like,
Hermione.
these are kids.
Yeah.
Hey, once they hit 18, bully them all you want. I don't care. We'll have moved on. But up front, they're kids. And let, the show's going to be like rated probably PG and made for kids. So let the kids
Mhm.
enjoy it. And don't, and if you are one of the grumpy purists on Daniel's feed, just, make the coffee and then go. Because
Yeah.
they're all baristas. All the real diehard Harry Potter fans that I've known are baristas. So
That's fair. That's fair. But
well,
yeah, I mean, with it being like a longer form of, 1 hour episodes, I'm assuming, we'll probably get like 8 hours a season, roughly.
yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of room to explore. Like, yeah, like they said, like the bigger parts of the book that were like cut out, So I don't know. It could be like, it could feel fresh or like more fleshed out. Cause yeah, I mean, when you take a, 800-page book and have to condense it down into like an hour long, hour and a half long movie, you're going to leave a lot out.
Yeah, and I think they want to do a book a season.
That's kind of crazy.
A season of book. 8 episodes. I think they said the first season is 8 hours. So it's 8 episodes, 1-hour episodes per season. Which I'm fine with. Like, I think a lot of books, a lot of comic books should be TV series, with some few exceptions. But John Agagano says part of the problem is people don't actively seek out new original works. That's why they don't do much of them. They know the franchise will make them money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, part of that is like people just also aren't marketed works, which is why I find that so. Which is why I find more recently, and poor Daniel and both of our partners had to suffer through me being insufferable during a very big day yesterday. But hold on to that point, because that can segue us into our next topic. Daniel, do we have a grand entrance asset to bring up the Oscars?
I do not know.
The Oscars. All right.
Up top
Okay.
are 4 big winners.
Yeah, the big four, the Fantastic Four. And another reason why I really think that the Oscars are so important is because of exactly what John is saying, right? Part of the problem is people don't actively seek out new original works. That's why they don't do much of them. That is on purpose, where a lot of these, big studios won't put out a ton of like original work. They'll rehash, look at Disney, look at the animated side of what Disney's doing. And people, like John's saying, like it's just not marketed to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like we've said, it's cheaper to do it the other way. So it's why, for all its wants and wares, I find award shows to be incredibly valuable still, because it's a curation of art. It's basically like this museum that you sit down and watch for 3.5 hours, and they tell you what all the pieces are, and then some stuffy board of people who, it doesn't really matter who they are. They're faceless and nameless, but they say like, this is the best thing in movies. And that's okay, and obviously to Amelia Perez, they get stuff wrong all the time, but it's not necessarily about what like they deem right or wrong. It's about the curation of there being 5,000-6,000 movies released, and they're like, these are 8 that we think are interesting and worth focusing on.
Yeah.
And then you can start there, and then you can move forward and forward. And the same thing with artists and with the Grammys and the Emmys and the Golden Globes. So I think they're important. And boy, was this an interesting curated museum 3.5-hour show. It was interesting, right, Daniel? So like up top, we had, these are our big winners. Let's bring up the image again real quick. So we had Adrian Brody winning for The Brutalist. If you turn on your TV, he's still giving his speech. Um, Best Actress went to Mikey Madison for Nora. Best Supporting Actor, Kieran Culkin for Real Pain. And Best Supporting Actress went to Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez, their second award of the night.
Boo.
Yeah, big boo on that one. But what did you, Daniel, and all of you watching think of the Oscars if you watched it, or the highlights that you saw last night?
I thought it was a good show. Conan did great. I need him back every year.
Conan was great.
Conan was great. Like you said, I think the creation of like the films themselves were good, minus Amelia Perez. That I feel like it's a psyop. I feel like it's a social experiment.
Yeah,
is trying to get us to buy it or something.
Absolutely.
13 nominations for that is wild. That's crazy work. It won 2, and you know what? Whatever. We'll give them the 2. But
yeah, it won for Best Supporting Actress, and it won for Best Original Song.
Which, let's call a spade. That song was original. Sure, is very
the
unique.
Song. This time last year, that song definitely didn't exist. So that. Oh yeah, and Ron says his Hulu crashed. That was a whole other thing. This is the first time that
hear about that.
That the Oscars were simulcast around, right? So they are normally on ABC, and then like on ABC's like website you can watch. And this year, Hulu was like the big loser in the streaming because right at, was it 7:30, Daniel, that it was supposed to stop?
I think it was 7:30.
Right at 7:30, or whatever, that was Pacific time, so whatever time it was for you, wherever you are in the world, it just went out because like that's what time it was probably programmed to stop. Idiots. And of course, you could also have watched it on the Academy's YouTube channel, which they don't normally do. Normally, they do just the red carpet coverage, but this year was really cool because they streamed the whole thing. But apparently, like, it wasn't as like, it was like behind and delayed and wasn't high quality, but you can watch it there. So they are, again, a lot of wants and wares talk, but the Academy has made an effort to finally hop into the future, into the streaming game in 2025. But okay, let's see. What's everyone saying here? Dwayne says Disney does a lot of original stuff. Can't wait for Toy Story 5.
Which, like, the third one was supposed to be the last one, and then they're like, the fourth one is the last one. We promise. And then, sure enough, the dead horse is still kicking out money.
Tenchi says the curation process and results are highly suspect. Oh, of course. Like
the campaigning portion of it is very, you know.
Yeah, it's incredibly biased. Like there's a reason why the term Oscar bait exists. Like
right.
However, again, I do still find a ton of relevance in them curating this and like we culturally seeing what like the zeitgeist is at the time. But again, this is not NPR. I'm going to get off that topic, but Steve says it would have been if not for all the songs that weren't original song performances, even though the opening was incredible. Oh my God. The opening of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo performing Defying Gravity. Couldn't think of the name of the song.
They did 3 songs, but they ended with Defying Gravity.
Ariana Grande did one by herself. She did Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which I found a little weird. I rewatched it this morning, and it's definitely like way too low in her register. Like way.
She could have whistle noted the whole thing.
Yeah, dude, and like we would have loved it. What was the third song they did? They did Defying Gravity, and what else?
It was a song from The Wiz, and that was I don't know the title, but Cynthia Erivo sung a song from The Wiz.
No, I must have just missed that. I must have still been crying from Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Yeah.
Home.
From The Wiz. Oh, Home. Okay. Jen says that I only saw it while passing through the living room. Award shows aren't my thing. Yeah, I get that. They're also really, really boring. I love them, but I've always loved them, and I love to do this. But I get that they're not like people's things, especially like if you're not really excited, if you didn't watch a bunch of the movies. Daniel, his husband, and my girlfriend, like we all sat down. We did as my girlfriend calls it, high low, where we were drinking champagne out of Daniel's like really nice wedding glasses.
Crystal.
And we also had Buffalo Wild Wings chicken wings. So that was we were the pinnacle of high society.
Champagne and chicken wings.
Champagne and chicken wings. Yes. I I get how they're boring, and honestly, like
Mhm.
they could probably cut down a lot. I mean, 3.5 hours is crazy. Like, if people aren't going to sit through The Brutalist, which is 3.5 hours, they're not sitting through you not awarding any awards. So, red carpet coverage was fun. We did do that for the hour
Oh,
before.
yeah.
We were just sitting there judging with our chicken wings.
Yeah, greasy fingers being like, I wouldn't have worn that.
That's disgusting. That's why would you wear that? And while incredible, I have to admit it felt like pandering. Yeah, what did you think, now that you kind of had some time to sit with it, Daniel, what did you think of the when they brought like the firemen, the fire team out?
I get it, right? I get the appeal. It's still like in the emotional zeitgeist of like LA as a city, and like
Yeah.
they were really talking about like Hollywood and Los Angeles and the tragedy that we've gone through as of late. And I mean I feel like they're definitely starting to kind of like regurgitate the bit a little bit. The fires have been out for like what, 2 weeks now?
Mm-hmm. Daniel, no, it's been like a month.
That they've been out? Yeah, see? I mean that's
The
what I'm saying.
fires, yeah.
It's been a while.
The Grammys hit it pretty hard.
Uh-huh.
The like
And
LA
when I
strong,
was in,
and it was tacky.
not to be that person, but when I was in Tokyo, we ran into somebody at Disneyland, and they were from New York or something. They asked if we wanted them to take our picture, and he came up to me and said, "Where are you guys from?" We're like, "Oh, Los Angeles," and immediately he was like, "Oh, are you guys okay? Like, how are you guys?" And we're like,
bro.
yeah, we're good. We're, everyone kind of imagines LA being this teeny little city. So I think maybe they do that for the folks that aren't from LA that, never really come here. And, they probably have it on their mind still, like Los Angeles and fire. It's still kind of synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a
that
pathetic moment.
like, yeah, it's fine. We're all alive, and rent has not changed. So, I just wanted to see Ariana Grande and Cynthia perform. I knew what it was. Yeah, I think.
I don't think she was ever like in serious contention for supporting actress.
I think she was. She like it was like 80-20.
Okay,
fair. Which is still 20% because Zoe Saldana had won pretty much everything else, but because of everything that happened around Amelia Perez, like it was starting to trend towards Ariana Grande. Cynthia Erivo was never in contention, but it was nice she was nominated. Let's see. Juliana Hough is fine. Who was the other? I don't know who the other guy was. Oh, remember he was the old head we were talking about. We're like, oh man, he's so boring.
Oh, Pinocchio? Is it George Pinocchio?
George Pinocchio. Like he's great, but like
we've been doing that for like 40 years now, and like they need to change out the old guard. Yes,
him, Kathleen Kennedy. It's like you can eat at Denny's now for so cheap. What are you doing on the red carpet? I actually liked how Conan talked about the impact on the folks you don't see on the screen. I thought it was very classy. Yeah, I mean, we could probably go another 10 minutes just about how successful Conan was, but he did a great job of balancing sincerity and levity in a way that I've never seen before. I know he's not from him. No, I know exactly. Like I know he's good. Like we all knew he was going to be good, but I didn't expect him to say, like there was a moment I can't remember what it was for, but he's like, I don't have a joke. I really respect this guy. And here he is.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark Hamill, maybe I don't remember, but I thought that was cool because like he could have done like a Star Wars joke, or he could have come out with like a lightsaber, because like he did the Dune sandworm thing. So I think he did a good job of balancing his Conan-ness, and then knowing when to like do it and be like, this is the Oscars. Like, let's like, I get that, but let's not all take ourselves so damn seriously all the time.
Yeah. And it was a nice change up because like I feel like where Conan was kind of like reverent, towards like movie making and the city and like that, Jimmy Kimmel was just like consistently like disparaging, right, for comedic effect. And there was I don't think I caught any, but there was no jokes made at like a runtime of a film, whereas like last year with like Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer, like there was consistent jokes about like how long these movies are and like how difficult these movies are to sit through.
It was kind of like they last year Kimmel had asked, what's everyone talking about on Twitter, and then let's like make the jokes about that, and it just didn't land because by the time that we got to the Oscars, like we're all done talking about all of the shit. And so I thought Conan did a really good job. Also, like a good example, like a perfect example, I think, of like Conan being so direct and like funny and poignant, but not doing too much, was his joke about Carlos Sofia Gascon
Oh,
and saying like Honora, let me see if I remember the joke, but it was like Honora like said the F word 450 times, which was almost as many times as Carlos Sofia Gascon's publicist. And then it was like, oh, like he did it. Like he said the joke. And then he said, and remember, if you tweet again, my name is Jimmy Kimmel. And then he went off of it. Like the fact that, like, is she a bad person? Like, she is still a bad person. She's been dragged through the mud, but like, that's not what that moment needed. Like, we didn't need to publicly shame her. We needed it to be like, you chose to be here, so we're going to rib you. But like, we're not going to make you relive this and also re-say and rehash these terrible things that she said. Like, I thought that was so brilliant. And the more that I've been thinking about it, I was like, what a great job and like great joke. So like, I don't need to write all of them. I know I'm gushing here, but like, I thought that was a really good job.
I think the kids call it glazing. You're glazing.
Yes. Sorry. Conan was great. No glaze. Oh, Steve Norris talking about Jesse Palmer. Yeah, he's like the ex-quarterback for the Bengals. Yeah, he's the host of The Bachelor. We didn't see him. We were watching it on YouTube TV, and we got like the local news channels. We didn't get like the other one. Oh, Jen, LA is huge. Yes, LA is huge. So much so that like when I back in the dark ages when I was single and I was still going on dates, if someone's like, "Oh yeah, do you want to meet in like Santa Monica?" which is like a a running joke out here, you're like, "No, I don't." It's not that serious. There's not a connection. You're a Sagittarius, so it wasn't gonna work anyways. So yeah, it is massive. But yeah, Oscars came and went. There was it was an interesting year. Like, Nora swept, won pretty much everything. Sean Baker won pretty much everything.
It was, director, editing, adapted screenplay or screenplay?
Screenplay. Yeah, best original screenplay.
Yeah, picture and actress.
An actress, yeah. So he was the first person to ever win 4 Oscars for one movie. And he won them because he wrote it, he directed it, and he edited it. So like those are his. And then best picture also goes to the director. So it is it was a great, there's like some weirdness, like you guys can, I'm sure you guys have seen all this all over the internet. The Amelia Perez people singing their own song. You know what I didn't notice, Daniel, is someone pointed this out on this podcast that I was listening to, was that she was singing the beginning of El Mal and was trying to get everyone to sing in, and like no one said anything. I was like, no one remembers your song. Please just leave the stage.
Yeah,
like, that is like cringe, as the kids would say.
Cringe for sure. Bold of them to assume that the audience would know the song. Period.
Yeah. Some weird choices for hosts. For presenters, like Miley Cyrus, Miles Teller was weird. Not Goldie Hawn. Who was it? She had the eye patch. Remember, they're like, the person,
Daryl Hannah,
like by herself. That was weird. Like, there's a lot of just like weirdness. Someone also pointed out that like, well, it's because half of like A-list Hollywood is working on Christopher Nolan's new movie right now. So that's
absolutely.
Interesting. Gina says picture does not automatically go to the director. Best Picture award goes to the producer. Sean Baker's producer. Oh, so that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense why he got that one. I didn't know that. I thought it was like international, where international like doesn't go to the team. It actually goes to the country, and then the country can defer or like almost, I don't know what the word is, but like co-sign the director onto it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like Bong Joon-ho had that happen with South Korea when he won for Parasite. But interesting. Thank you, Gina. I didn't know that. All right. Well, that was the Oscars again. And now we start Oscars prep for 2026, everyone.
It's a long road. You know what? Last year, Richard and I, we spent the whole time the whole month of February catching up, watching, and by the time the ceremony rolled around, we were like, we'd seen everything. But this time, I think we'd seen maybe 2 of the Best Picture nominees. We were really behind.
Yeah, it was harder, I think, to see some of these movies. They weren't as easily accessible. But who knows? Next year, I think the first movie that has a real shot at getting some Oscar buzz comes out this Thursday. Mickey 17. I'll be there.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
All right. Well, now the time cometh. We can finally, everyone can decompress. You can loosen your ties. We're just gonna kick back, and Daniel's gonna talk to us about how Japan went. He had a little slideshow for us. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. I was gonna say, if I really took the time, I could be here for 3 hours talking about my trip. It was incredible.
Where did you go?
We went to Tokyo. So we spent 2 weeks in and around Tokyo, and we only ever day tripped to Fuji and then to Tama, which is where Hello Kitty Land is. And Fuji was about 4 hours away, and then Tama was
one way.
Yeah, one way. And you gotta remember, it's like 3 or 4 trains to get there, right? So it took some time, it took some planning, but we did it. We did it, folks.
Yeah, you did.
We did the dang thing. But let me start with where that weekend started. The wedding. So if you can tell, that's me. That's my husband Richard, and then that's Paul, our eagle-eyed viewers might notice, with the gray, the gray suit to match the gray hair. So that was Friday. And then Sunday, we were on a plane to Japan. And fun fact, the safety info video is playing at the beginning of like ANA flights feature Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm going to reuse my joke, Daniel, that I used with you, where it's like, okay, I have to put my freaking phone on airplane mode, but you've got an electric type Pokemon just sitting there in like 27F. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem safe. He's unpredictable too. Pikachu's not like a chill Pokemon.
No, yeah, he's got a temper tantrum. But that was a lot of fun. Let me see. Then she says, okay, but Tokyo may as well be the size of LA, if not bigger. That place is fucking huge. So we stayed in Chiba, which is about a train station away from the Disney parks. In Urayasu specifically.
Oh yeah, because you guys went to both Disney parks as well, right?
Yeah. So we did Disneyland and Disney Sea. This is Richard and I in front of Tokyo Disneyland's castle.
Wait, do you want to reuse your Disneyland and Sea joke that you said yesterday?
Yeah,
it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
It's a pretty bad joke.
Paul asked, he's like, what are the Disney parks again? It's like Disney Sea Adventure, Disneyland ride or something. And I was like, well, there's Disneyland, there's Disney Sea, there's Disney Fire, and Disney Air's coming next year.
Boo. And, I don't know why I made you repeat that. It's still bad.
I got booed in my own home. That's not right.
It's okay. That's what being a Cowboy fan is like.
Wow. That's a hard truth for me to learn. But we did some fun stuff. We went to Shibuya Crossing, the famous classic Shibuya Scramble.
Ooh, Shibuya Scramble. You can get it at Denny's, half off. Kathleen Kennedy.
Let's see. I believe this was Shinjuku. And this is like off like one street off the main street. And it's full of just shops, restaurants, little bars. Wow. Let's see, what else do I got? Oh, we went to Kappabashi Street, which is known for cookware and like professional like Japanese knives, and it's where a lot of the folks go to shop for like cookware souvenirs.
Ooh, I should ask you to get me Japanese knives for cooking, because there's some ones that I want. And Alexis is just like, if you want to buy those, like in that tone, because they're so nice, and I love good kitchen knives.
Yeah. Who doesn't? But yeah, Japanese steel is incredible. In fact, I did not buy a Japanese kitchen knife. I bought a pair of Japanese toenail clippers.
Okay.
Which the brand goes back to, I think it's like the 14th century. And it was like a family of steel workers who were making like samurai swords and whatnot. And then they just became like a steel working empire. and now they're like known for their world-renowned like toenail clippers.
Their ancestors are crawling in their freaking graves.
But the hype is real. They're incredible. Got a built-in nail file. I wouldn't trade them for the world.
Yeah.
Let's.
Oh, Steve has a question. Are they different from the clippers of the rest of them? Do you have them like near you?
They're in my bathroom.
Oh, okay. Well,
And you know what? No, they look just the same, but I think it's the quality of the metal that they use or the alloy or something.
like
I think they're
super
supposed to, like-
sharp.
Yeah, super sharp.
Ooh,
Something about
that's
like
dangerous.
the leverage they administer, right? Like they don't crush nails, they like clip and they snip cleanly. So much so that I almost injured myself the first time I used them.
And that's got to be something, because like, you know, the Japanese who are maybe using these on a regular basis, they've got, you know, maybe smaller feet, and you've got big old gargoyle feet.
Big old gargoyle feet. My
So
Sasquatch feet need.
Yeah, so I'm glad you got to use two. You do need a samurai blade for those thick ass toenails.
But yeah, it is Seki brand. It's but over there's Seki Edge, and then the one I got was Seki Mago Roku, I want to say.
Seki Edge Pro Plus.
It could be.
Yeah.
I was going off the price. The Seki Edge ones were like pretty cheap, and this one was like a step above. So my thinking was like, it's not that much more. I'm gonna go for it. Maybe it's higher quality, you know, but who knows? I didn't get another one to compare. Let's see. Big thing we were doing out there was food, right? So we were hitting up as many like little food spots as we could. This is from an izakaya restaurant near our hotel. And this was like just chicken skewers. This was like a pork bowl. In the back, there's grilled shiitake mushrooms. There's
what's that above your head? Are those mushrooms? That looks like bacon wrapped something.
They're like, it was bacon wrapped cabbage rolls with like a yuzu pepper. So it was lemony. It was like a little spicy. It was delicious.
Doesn't sound healthy. I feel like I have this misconception that the Japanese are like the healthiest people in the world. Well, maybe not. Maybe they just walk a lot.
It's a lot of walking. I think we clocked 16,000 steps a day, something like that.
My goodness.
Yeah, it was a lot. And you gotta remember that's like stairs in the station. We got lost left and right. It was so fun to be like, oh, this is our train. This is our train. We get on and then immediately start moving in the wrong direction. So having that like confidence shatter is humbling.
It's humbling. Yeah.
And you know what's sad? It's not like we can't even say like, oh, all the signs are in Japanese. Like we couldn't tell. Like everything.
Plenty English around.
Dude, all the signs are in English too. It cycles between like English, Japanese, Chinese, depending on the area.
Do I need to have seen English? Do I need to have read English 1 to understand English 2?
Yes, surprisingly.
I was proud of that. That joke.
Let's see here. What else do I got? We went. Oh, so we had a night out where we spent the whole night out.
Is this the one where you came home at 6 in the morning?
6 in the morning. We went to like a gay bar that we really wanted to go to. It's called the Eagle Blue. And it was very much like a West Hollywood club, right? Just blasting dance music, nowhere to sit. This place was like crammed like sardines.
What were they playing? What kind of music were they playing?
We heard Lady Gaga's Abracadabra for the first time at this club. Well, first time in a club at this club.
Okay, nice.
So that was kind of exciting. They were playing like Ariana Grande. I think they played a Kesha song. So they were like kind of all over the place.
They just got Kesha.
But yeah, it was fun. We made some friends there, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go check out this other bar. Like, do you guys want to come?" And so we're like, "Yeah, sure. We'll do it. We'll go with you guys." So the bars we went to just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and but more intimate, right? So like the other places, there wasn't like blasting club music. It was more of like a one-on-one with like your bartender. And we walk into the first place, and our friend, he's from there, so he's lived in Japan for like 15-20 years now. He leans in and he says something in Japanese, and he's like asking like 4 people, and they wave us in. They're like, okay, cool. And so like we find our seat, and so he's speaking Japanese to the bartender, and he's like motioning to us, and he would say like, oh, honeymoon, like they're on their honeymoon, and the guy looks over and he's like, hey, congratulations, that's awesome. Like, how will you guys know each other?
He speaks better English than you.
Yeah, dude, he was from San Francisco, or he lived in San Francisco for like 20 years.
Oh my god, that's funny as hell.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was a good time. But yeah, we started going to like smaller bars. At one point, we ended up at this bar. We walked into this place at 4:15 in the morning.
Oh my god. They're still just bumping? They're still going?
Yeah, dude. At that point of the night, people are just like smoking, chilling, having a drink.
Mm.
You're probably drunk at that point. But we walked in and this really old bartender was taking care of us, and he was like, "You guys hungry?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Do you guys like meat or fish?" And so we were like, well, I don't know if I want to get fish from like a bar, with like no proper like cooking utensils and whatnot. So we said meat. And sure enough, he pulls out like raw chicken, raw pork from like a fridge that he's got under the thing. And he just starts grilling. He starts cooking. And he made us this whole spread. Oh,
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah,
Amber alert, everyone.
We are live. This is a live broadcast.
Yep.
So he made us fried chicken right there at the bar with like some fresh bread from Okinawa. There was a yakiniku restaurant we went to where these drinks were on tap at the table.
Oh my god!
So you pay your money up front, and you get 2 syrups. We got grape and pomegranate, and you can just make your own drink at the table. Right? It's got a whole little like lemon.
And this is alcoholic or not alcoholic?
This is alcoholic.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was fun. It was kind of like a White Claw on tap.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't too strong, but it was nice. It was unlimited. You
brought a drink back that me and Alexis tried. What was that similar to what you were drinking?
Similar. The one you guys had was a 9% alcohol. This one is like a 5% alcohol.
It was strong, everyone.
Yeah, it was good. And
it tasted like Sprite.
Yeah, like a lethal Sprite.
Angry Sprite.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to show. This was Harajuku Street. This is like the place to go in Harajuku. There's designer stores and stuff off like at the end, but this
look at this guy's
like
jawline.
Lethal.
Yeah.
Harajuku was busy. What else do I have? We got this is like a unagi specific restaurant. This is one I really wanted to go to because I love eel. And you know what? We got unagi here, and then ended up getting unagi at like a ramen restaurant, which you kind of figure the specialty restaurants probably have like the better dish. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as good. The ramen place was better. So we got some insight. Mm-hmm. We did a day trip. But yeah, we did a day trip to Mount Fuji. I got to see a Nissan GTR. Some car. Yeah.
I don't know.
My Mount Fuji picture
actually looks like a Honda Civic.
Civic.
Oh, the other ones the one I really wanted to see was like where you guys took a picture in front of like it looked like a convenience store and you just see Mount Fuji behind it.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know why that didn't come over.
Yeah, you guys are on for a while. Not the Fandom social Instagram, but you can go to Daniel's. Yeah, it was you guys were gone, man. I feel like you guys were gone forever.
Yeah, us too. And you know what? We didn't want to leave. We got tattoos out there. That was
You did? I didn't know that.
Sure did. Yep.
Is that an octopus?
It is a kraken.
Oh, nice.
Squid. But the artist that drew it, he specializes in like traditional Japanese painting style. And so this one he painted using like Japanese ink on Japanese paper. Very old school way of like doing the art. And then when I picked the tattoo, he was kind of surprised because like most people don't pick like the traditional stuff. They'll go for like the Pokemon stuff that he's got in the front, And I told him, I was like, no, dude, I would have gotten the traditional Tabori style tattoo if I could, but I didn't think far enough ahead to like book it.
Oh yeah. Plus, you're probably gonna have to sit in the chair a little longer.
Oh yeah, those take forever.
What did Richard get?
He got a tattoo of Kiki's Delivery Service. Okay. It's one of his favorite shots in it where she's doing this on the counter and Gigi the cat is sitting next to her, and he got that on this arm, just about the same location, different arm.
Would have been nice if you would have shared this with us yesterday when we were having our Oscars party. It's fine.
Should have. You're so right.
Also, everyone, I was not invited to Japan. Oop. I'd like that to be known.
But you were with us in spirit.
Would have been better in person. But when Daniel says I was with them in Spirit, they did buy me a ticket, but they put me on Spirit Airlines, and the plane just couldn't make it. It just couldn't get there.
You ever had a plane ghost you?
Mm. Is that a Spirit joke?
I don't know. Could be.
I don't like it. All right. Well, are you done with pictures? Or are you uploading them?
Yeah, I was looking for it, but yeah, it doesn't look like they came on over.
It might be the file format too. Sometimes it doesn't like Apple Pictures.
Could be. Yeah. Bummer.
All right. Well, we can put them on our Daniel. Right after this, everyone will put 150 picture photo album in the group. So 200 even maybe. Or what we could do is you could just post a picture and just so can someone Photoshop me into all of Daniel's incredible, beautiful, romantic honeymoon pictures?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just like hiding behind the picture I'm talking about with you behind you. It's just me, just like behind on Fuji,
like peeking over the mountain,
like an angry autistic god behind it. All right, well, I think that about does it. Unless Daniel, you got 30 seconds. Did you get them?
That was it. No, they're not coming over. I think it's the file format.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We are going to do our best to be back next week. We might be back with a fandom focus, kind of like a relaxed fit fandom focused next week. Do we want to tell them already about what we want to cover next week?
I think so. Yeah, we can talk about
it. Or nay on that.
Nay. Yeah, this will be our second horse theme.
That's right. So for some reason, Daniel has agreed. Well, actually, Daniel's pretty interested in this too because we're both freaking weirdos. So, but Daniel's a married weirdo now. So we next week will be doing a fandom focus on the weird and misunderstood hobby of hobby horsing. We're very excited to be talking about it. It's not the horse, it's the rider. And if you don't know what hobby horsing is, well, then tune in next Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific, where we are discussing hobby horsing and its misunderstood roots and very weird current roots that it is setting. It's a strange sort of fandom, but I think it is really funny, and I'm really excited to write some jokes and make fun of these weirdos. So, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be nice. Yeah, but normally I say I'm not going to do that. However, yes, exactly.
Sure it's our
it's just like My Little Pony outside, but like normally I don't say it because like I don't know, some of these fandoms, like some of these Star Wars fans are pretty crazy. I try to be nice because they could beat me up. I'm not concerned about anyone from hobby horsing beating me up.
And maybe that's a problem. Maybe we should be. Who knows? Maybe
it is a
hobby horse mafia.
It is a sport sponsored by anemia, it seems. So, well, with that, everyone, thank you guys all so much. We'll see you next week where we cover hobby horsing on a Fandom Focus. Daniel, congratulations. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Thank you for the congratulations. Love you guys.
Married's Bud. Congratulations to me. I washed this hoodie finally. So big week for the both of us.
Big week.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Remember to like what you love what you like, and a third thing. Buy it. Secrets. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Or me.